this is a tutorial for a system where we will have an NPC following around the player, and kind of like Dragon Quest and other top-down RPG games where you can have multiple characters following the player. So first off, we'll look at what we have here. We've got a player with a rigid body on it and the player script, and NPC just has my NPC follow script, which I've got these two scripts here. For the player, I'm just going to start with a default kind of script that I always use for when I'm doing players. So I'll always quickly just start with this. And it's a simple just get the inputs, put it together as a direction, normalize it, and multiply it by a player speed, and then send it back out through the rigid body. So nothing complex about that. So just need to test it. Forgive the slowness of the laptop and the noise in the background. I've got a couple fans on to beat the Barbados heat. Okay. Oh, right. Stupid me. Player. I need to add the rigid body. I'll add it after I add the speed, and that should work. Right, so once I stop it, I'll add it. So I know how that works. And there we go. Okay, so that's the player. Player doesn't need anything fancy. It's the NPC follow script that's going to need the fancy stuff. So in here, we want that the NPC is going to find the positions that the player is standing in and move towards those positions. So some of the first things we're going to need is we need to actually and I'm going to call it follow character as opposed to follow player, because if we have a string of NPCs, each NPC follows the one in front of him, not following the player. So it's follow the character, and we want to grab that transform. I'm going to want a distance because I want him to stop so they don't follow right up onto the player. They'll stop a little distance away. So public, this distance will be a float. Let's call it distance from character. Next thing is we want a list of all the positions that character has been in. So public list, this is going to be a vector2 list, and let's call it follow character positions. Okay. Next thing is I'm going to be using the update to check to see where the character is. But if the character is just standing in the spot doing minute movements, I don't want to constantly be grabbing those positions. So let's do a public float, and what should I call this? Let's call it allowable sample distance. So the character has to move a certain distance before I'm going to sample that position. Also, I don't want to be constantly sampling it, so I can put in a public float sample time difference, And of course I have to save that time, so I don't need to see it. Float sample time. I think we've got enough. Oh yes, and of course public float follow speed. Save. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is that sample time. Let's just grab a time. So time dot oops no sample time is equal to time dot time. Save. All right. So the first thing we're going to look at is if the time dot time is greater than the sample time, then we can do something. And let's reset a new sample time is equal to time dot time plus the sample time difference. If so, I want to check to see if the follow character's distance is greater than the last thing saved, which means we're going to need to save a distance. So let me just, at the very beginning, not a distance, but I'm going to need to save a position. So at the very beginning, I'm going to grab the character's position. Follow character dot position. Alright, so once I have that, I can now check and see. This is going to be a vector 2 dot distance. And I want to check the distance between the follow character's position and the follow character positions, and I want to grab the first position or last position? The last position. So to get that, I would say follow character positions dot count -1. Okay, if all of that, let's come down a new line. Let's do that on the same line if I zoom out. No, down another line. If all of that is greater than the allowable sample distance. So, in other words, the player has moved enough distance from his last position and will record that movement. So this will just say follow character positions dot add, and we can add the follow character dot position. Okay, so that should be able to add some stuff. Let's just quickly just test it and see what's going to happen here. Okay, I'm going to feed the NPC the player. The distance from the character, let's call that 2. The allowable sample distance. So how far does the character have to do to store something? Let's just say 0.1, 0.5. The sample time difference, let's sample it every half of a second. And the follow speed, same as the character, 5. We could probably do something where if the character speeds up, he's always constantly getting the speed of the character. We can do something like that. Okay, So let's hit play, and I should see when the character starts to move. I'm looking at the follow character positions area here. And it should store one of them. And because I'm not moving, it's not storing any new ones. That's very good. That's just number one right there. Now if I start to move around, if I do minute movements, it's not going to store them. But if I do large movements, yep, it's storing those positions. Good. Exactly what I need. I might do what I said just now. I'm going to quickly say that the... actually, no. I was going to try to get that speed to match the other one. I don't need that for now because I'd have to grab the player script, but then if there's no player script and it's NP, yeah, it's going to be too much code to add and I don't need it for now. Okay, so the next thing is to actually make it follow, and I'm going to say if, and I now need to find out that if the distance from the character is greater than distance from character, which I created up here. So if that, that's a vector 3, vector 2, dot distance, and it will be my, how does that work? That's my position. So that would be transform dot position from the character's position, follow character dot position. So if that is greater than the distance from character, then I'll walk. If the character is close to me, I'm going to stop walking. I don't need to do any walking. So that would mean that I'm going to be using a transform dot position is equal to vector 2 dot move towards, and the move towards will say my transform dot position, which is my current, and I'm going to move towards whatever is stored in my list as the first position. So follow character positions, and I want position 0, and I want to do that in time dot delta time multiplied by what I call it, follow speed, and semicolon. Okay, so that should allow it to follow me. We shall see. Okay, so he jumped right up under me. There we go. Oh, he stopped following. Why did he stop following? Distance is further. That list keeps going up and up and up and up. So I'm just muddling around trying to figure this out myself. stopped following because that distance from character, my position, and follow character's position. I should be walking. Transform, my position, follow character position 0. Times that. I don't know. Also, I see that list just keeps going up and up. That's going to become a problem. Maybe if I just delete when he reaches a position, I remove it. That's right. It reached a position, so it keeps trying to follow that first position. Okay. So I get rid of the first position once he reaches it. So let me find. I'm going to need to remove some positions. So let me do public float, not float, and let's just call it the remove distance. So once I've got into that position, I'm going to get it out. Once I get close enough, I never like saying that move towards always reaches its destination. I just like to play it safe. So I'm going to say that if vector2 dot distance follow character it's my transform. If my transform dot position has reached that position, this position here, follow character position. So if that and that, the two of those are less than the remove distance, then I can remove it. Let's say follow character positions dot remove at, and let's get rid of 0. There we go. So when he reaches that position, it'll get rid of it and he'll move to the next position, next position, next position. That should work. Oh wait, I just thought of something. Let me see if this is going to cause an error. It probably will. If he removes all the positions, then I need to do a check to make sure that there's at least one position in there. Because I'm trying to pull from that follow character position quite a few times. So if I do that, he's no longer removing. What has happened? Keeps adding. Oops. So the adding is working. I never set a remove distance. Hold on. Okay, let's make it small. 0.05 maybe. I think that might be okay. See what I mean about not trusting the move towards? Ah, right. Oh, and I should have fixed it just now. I knew this was going to happen. Out of range. Because right now this is at 0. Because at some point it reached its final place. And then I remove 0, which puts it down to 0. So I have to make sure that these are never empty. Where is it? Yeah, all of that count. And this guy here. And this guy here. So rather than do a check, I'll just make sure that I don't remove. So if this guy here, if him dot count, how would that be? If it's greater than 1, but I never want it to reach 1, because if it reaches 1, then removes it, then I'll have 0, and I don't want 0. So it will always have 1 stored. And doing that is a lot easier than checking if the count is greater than 0. Because then I'd have to do that in multiple places. I kind of thought of this tutorial this morning. Just figured, how do you get that done? I did one of these before for a game jam, and it worked, but it was very sloppy. So this one here. So if I do all of this, he doesn't register any of that. Oh, yes he did. And now he's way far behind me, and he has to catch up. All right, so let's put a stop to that. So follow character positions, and where do I put a stop to that? In here. I don't want to add anything. If the player is just walking around the NPC, then I don't want to add any of that. So I'm going to say that I'm checking the distance to make sure that the character does move further away from his previous position. But before I even check that, I want to make sure that the character is actually far away from me. So I've got that down here. Copy that. Paste it up here. So it's that and that. Why are you doing that? Why are you red underlining? That and this. That's 2 distance. Oh, right. Yes, I have to have a clause in here. Is greater than the what do you call it? Distance from character. So if that character is close to me, only if it's greater than that distance, and if the character is actually doing some motion, then I'll add something to my list. And now that whole squiggly thing where I walked around and around and around, and then the NPC was the one who walked around and around and around, I'm going to cut all of that out right now. And there's something else I think I'm going to add. because I think I can trick it to kind of getting left behind for a little while. Okay, so, and if I move around here, it should not be storing any of that. And it didn't. So all of this, and then I walk away. Right, it did store one kind of, but then there's this distance that I want that if I get too far away from it, see, like that, it does catch up eventually, but I have to stop for it to catch up. What if I do this? I'm going to have, okay, let me take the speed and put this down here because I'm going to do a bunch of stuff with this speed. Public, float, and let's do a fast march so that he's going to go a bit faster. So if I have a fast speed, then I need a normal speed. Public, float, normal speed. So the normal speed is when he's just walking normally. The fast speed is when he's walking faster. The follow speed will be one of these. And therefore I need to have a public, float, but fast distance. And then down here, I'm going to say that so before I do any movement, I'm going to check and see if the vector2.distance, I'm really using distance a lot here. If distance of my transform, my position, comma, the follow character position, follow character position, that is greater than the fast distance, follow character dot position. If that's the case, then I'm going to say that the follow speed is going to be equal to the fast speed, fast march. Else, follow speed is going to be equal to the normal speed. Okay, I think I could just save on some lines here. That's just short. Save. All right. I can't think of anything else I'm going to need here. So let's test this out. First I have to set that up. I have to set the normal speed. Normal speed is 5. Our fast speed, let's say 10, double it. Our follows, that's going to be set. Oh, wait, I have to set that at the beginning. I need to, okay, if you start and your character is far away, then we want to start at fast speed, which is fast march. Fast march. So the follow speed, he'll quickly catch up, and then he'll just go to normal speed. Come on. Okay. So follow speed and the distance, let's see, let's say 3.5, and see how that works. Oh, he came up really close to me. Okay, so now let's see if I can get him to... yeah, he sped up just now. I'm just wandering around. That's a nice follow. I mean, there's a lot of stop and starts and rushing, but it works. It does work. I assume some people could use lerps to smooth out his walking. I'm not going to go into that right now. That would be a little bit more. So what if I create another script here? Let's do create a game manager. I want him to manage a bunch of NPCs. So asset scripts game manager. So let's do a list of NPCs. Or I could just do it myself. Prefabs. Let's grab the NPC and drop them in here. And let's make copies. So 4 of them. We've got a red, do green. Let's do yellow. We've got a red already, so let's do a purple. And last, so he doesn't get lost. Okay, let's see him. Good. Alright, so let's scatter them around. Let's call everyone to arms. Okay, and he is going to get from, he gets from, this guy gets from the player, this guy is following this guy. The manager could actually set this all up. He'll just say, get from the player before. Okay, so this should work. Save. So everyone should try to get close to themselves, to the person they're following. And the person who's following me is going to try and get close to me at the beginning. Okay, so everyone kind of lined up. Go after that. They're all following me. Even when they get into a jumble like that, that's when they have the quick march to be able to catch up with each other. And I can shorten that distance. Let's go here. Distance from character 1.5. Can I not? Oh. Okay. 1.5. So getting close. I like this. And it works. Like I said, you can probably use a Lerp because right now there's a lot of stop and starts, and if you use a Lerp it'd be a lot smoother, but it is a working system. And I guess that will be it for now. Till the next tutorial.